Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I want to go through my favourite types of paper that I use for drawing because a lot of you asked me what papers do I use for colour pencil, graphite, all of that sort of stuff, and I haven't actually done a video before just talking about my favourite types of paper. So let's get straight into it with the first type of paper that I use, and this is probably the most common paper that I use for like loads of different things, and that is the Strathmore Bristol Smooth Paper. This yellow one, you've probably seen a lot of people use this. It's a very common type of paper. It's by Strathmore, and like I said, it's the Bristol Smooth Surface 300 series paper. It's really good and it's quite cheap, so I use the 9 by 12 inches one most often, and I like to use this for graphite drawings. I like to use it for my coloured pencil portraits as well. Anything that I want to have a really smooth finish with, because it is a smooth surface, so it hasn't got a lot of tooth and texture to it. And so because it is quite smooth, I wouldn't recommend using this type of paper for something like charcoal where you really need it to stick onto like the tooth of the paper. For that, I will recommend something else later on. But like I said, this is great for coloured pencil portraits, anything really. It is a good all-round type of paper, but I wouldn't use this for solvent. So when I use coloured pencils and I use solvent to blend, I don't use the smooth paper because it ends up just kind of sitting on the top. It doesn't blend very well. But this is great if you don't want to use solvent, if you use the burnishing method, or if you just are doing graphite studies. It's good for portraits as well as animals as well, and I like this one because it is quite cheap. Like I said, it is the 300 series version, which means that it isn't the most expensive one because there's 300 series, 400 series and the 500 series. I use the 300 series all of the time and I get great results with it. So if you can't afford the 500 series, then definitely go for this, and if you're a beginner, then I do recommend the cheaper alternative. But if you are interested in the 500 series, this is what it looks like. It is the white one. The 300 series is the yellow version, and yeah, it's just a lot more expensive. But if you think that the Bristol Smooth is a bit too smooth for you, you want a bit more tooth to it, then I do recommend the Bristol Vellum as well if you want to make sure that you have a bit more texture and tooth to the paper for your pencils to stick to. The next type of paper that I like to use is toned papers. Toned paper is absolutely great for like managing the values. Because you've got the mid-tone value in, it's really good just to go in and add your highlights, add your dark shadows, and the white really stands up on toned paper. So again, the ones that I like to use are by Strathmore. I do like Strathmore paper, and the first one is the toned tan. This again is a very common type of paper, especially for people that do a lot of cartoons and stuff like that, but I like it for a lot of different things. I wouldn't again use solvent with this because when you're using solvent, that is wet, so obviously you need a paper that can deal with wet sort of mediums being applied to it, and because this paper is quite thin, it's only £80, then this wouldn't be suitable for any sort of wet mediums. But for drawing, it is great. It is great for sketching, and like I'll just give you a quick example of the type of things you can do with this paper. And so here is a little cartoon drawing that I did, and you can see that it really stands out. The highlights as well, I'm holding it to the side because it's got shine, but you can see that it really stands out on this toned paper. And again, for a pad of this, it's got like 50 sheets in it, and it is quite cheap. It's not very expensive at all. And again, this is the 9 by 12 sketchbook. But if you do want something that is slightly thicker, because £30 is quite thin in terms of paperweight, then you can go for this one. Again, it's by Strathmore. It is the mixed media pad, and it's toned grey. You can get that toned tan one in grey as well, by the way. And so this has 15 sheets in it. It's 9 by 12 inches, and this is £184 in weight rather than 80. So 80, 184, there's a massive difference there, and it's 300 GSM if you like your paperweights in that sort of metric. But this is really thick. You can see that is really nice and thick. And so if you want to do drawings that are more finished rather than just sketches, but you want to use toned paper, then I definitely recommend the mixed media pad. It's really good. I like using it. And so the last type of paper that I'm going to be recommending to you guys is what I use when I do coloured pencils with solvent. And so when you're using solvent, obviously it's a wet medium. You want to have a paper that's able to take wet mediums. And so a really good paper to do that is the Arches Hot Pressed Watercolor Paper. And so I've got this in a bit of a bigger size. It is the 11 by 14, no it's not, it's the 11 by 16 inch pad, and this is hot press, which means it's quite smooth. It doesn't have much texture to it at all, which is really good if you're using coloured pencils, but you can get the cold press, which does have a bit more texture and tooth if you like that sort of thing. But because this is watercolour paper, what it means is that it really is good when you're using solvent to actually like absorb it, and it blends really nicely, and it is really thick as well. It's £140, which is 300 GSM. But like I said, you don't have to use this one. Any watercolour paper will do, but I definitely recommend investing in a paper that's quite thick if you are using solvent. Another great one that I have used in the past is the Fabriano Artistico hot pressed watercolour paper. That is another great option, but really if you're a beginner, then just get your hands on any type of watercolour paper and that will do you just great for your colour pencil and solvent works. Again, this watercolour paper is great for charcoal drawings because it does have a bit more tooth to it than the smooth paper. And finally, for my pastel drawings, I do like to use the pastel matte paper. Again, this is a very common paper. I'm saying that a lot, but I do use a lot of the common papers that a lot of other artists use. And so this is good because it has a pack of different colours in, so you can try them out and see which colour you like the best. And this is extremely thick. It is 360 GSM, which is £170. That's really thick. You get white, sienna, brown and anthracite, which is basically like a black paper in this. It has 12 sheets, and yeah, it's just really nice, really thick. They are all of the different types of papers that I really like to use for my drawings. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I have left a list of all of the different papers that I have mentioned with links to where you can get them in the description below. But I would love to know, what is your favourite type of paper? Write in the comment section, what do you use the most? And anyway guys, that is it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new around here for more tips and tutorial videos. But that is it from me, and I'll see you next time. Bye everybody.